First item on the agenda would be the consent agenda. Approve the agenda, the minutes from the last meeting, and the financial information that you all received by email in advance. Any questions, discussion?
I move we accept the consent agenda.
I'll second.
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Now we'll move to public comment.
Oh, all right.
I have
And
one thing.
Ms. Vicki Gurman.
Yes, Vicki Gurman. I'm here today representing the Southwest Kansas Builders Association. And I've been meaning to come and do this for a while. I just haven't made it here in time, so I made it today. But I wanted to just speak up on behalf of your staff and let you know that each and every member of your staff has been so accommodating and so helpful to us as not only the Builders Association, but anybody that I've been involved with, or myself personally. You know, every single one. Scott, you call him, you want something in Greater Garden City, he does it, and does a wonderful job. Shannon, you know, we wanted a logo. We wanted, you know, some information on the chat report. He shows up. Nicole, and helping us with our relationship with the community college. And of course, Lana just is everywhere all the time and does anything we ask of her. So I am so thankful for your organization and for each of your people. They are all just hard workers. They do a great job, and they're so kind and so helpful. So we couldn't be more blessed to have you in our community. And I think that, you know, other organizations that have the opportunity to partner with you and receive some of that benefit, it would be foolish for them not to, and hopefully that in the future there's some way that that can actually happen. So I think it would be an asset to them as well as to the community if they would accept your kind offers to have your staff help people out. So I just want you to know how much we appreciate it, and we will continue to call on you in the future, I'm sure.
Thanks for the
Thanks,
comment.
Vicki.
Thank you, Vicki.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that they will continue to, yeah, Scott's paying in his, how much that cost, Scott? Pretty, just $1, that was a pretty good payday. But I'm sure that our staff will continue to work with Builders Association as well as many others, and we appreciate your comments. A lot of times, you know, staff, not only in our organization, but a lot of others, goes without the recognition that they deserve, and it's good once in a while to have somebody show up and say those things, so thank you. It's, anybody else? Sheila, it only leaves you, so.
I'm good, thanks.
And I would say that Sheila made a presentation at Lions Club yesterday. It was very, very informative, and I think very well received by the club, and it was very good presentation. It was good to have you there to do that, so thank you for that. Okay, move on. Item number 4 on the agenda. Lana, would you like to?
I would. First, I'd like to comment a little bit back onto Vicki's comments about the Builders Association. It has been a real pleasure to work with that group. They, you know, kind of came together with really no framework left, and decided they were just going to make it happen. And they have really great, if you haven't been to one of their monthly luncheons, you really ought to make a point to go to one. They do a great job. They always bring in really informative speakers, and it really is a great opportunity. And it's fun to watch those builders who I suppose most would look and think they're all competitors, because certainly they're all in the same business, but instead of viewing themselves as competitors, they really look at how they can work together and form alliances that actually help all of them to be more successful. And as a community, we should be so thankful that they've done that, because it really has given us an opportunity to visit with all of those builders and really share with them the opportunities that exist in Finney County, should they choose to work together, should they choose to grow and build additional housing. So we appreciate all of their efforts as well. And it has been a pleasure to work with them. All right. Project-wise, don't have a lot of updates. The Department of Commerce RFPs are still all sitting out there. We've not had any updates at all on where those are. Again, you asked if we can check on those, and we can, but they, what we get are pretty general answers that there really isn't an update to be shared at this point. So that's fine. Prospect 219 is a project we've been working on. We did find them a site, and we're able to connect them with a real estate broker who got an offer submitted on that property. Now we're just waiting on some additional data through the Department of Ag to actually help them support their case for the project. So we'll keep working with them and getting them the information that they need. Project Birmingham, we have additional meetings set for this week for discussions with them. So we'll, again, keep you posted on that one. Pinkies, they did submit an e-community loan application, and that is out right now. The credit and memo and so forth is out with the e-community advisory council. So they're supposed to have those submitted back today, and we'll be able to keep Pinkies moving forward. Great Plains Development has everything else ready to go. So once we have the e-community response in, they'll be able to quickly get them closed, and we'll get them started on their new building. We're excited for them.
They've got a contract, everything pending, just waiting for them.
Yeah, we were able to connect them with a lease, and the owners of the building were great to work with them and get everything set up. So now we're all just in holding mode while we wait for, again, for the e-community to finish up, and that'll be the last step, should be the last step for them. And their contractors assured them it won't take very long. Once they can actually get into the building, it won't take them very long to get everything ready to go for them. So they're excited, and we're excited for them.
Can you share the location?
Yeah, they're going to be in the Garden City Plaza. Yeah. Project Rochester, if you guys remember, the TIF and SID were both approved through the city commission, and demolition has commenced. If you haven't driven by there, you missed it. It went very, very rapidly. I guess that helps when you have a hill.
There's still a lot of big piles.
You just push downhill though, right? It makes it, gravity helps that way. So anyway, that's, I think it's going to be a really, really great
Moved
project.
the house in the garage yet, or is it still standing? It was still there the other
Didn't
day
drive by
when I
there
went
yesterday,
by.
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's going pretty rapidly, and it's fun how many comments I've gotten from folks in the public wanting to know what's happening there. People are excited. I think it sat there long enough that we all forgot it was there until we saw stuff happening.
It
So,
really cleaned that hilltop off pretty good. Like Bob said, though, it's kind of shifted downhill in a pile, but it did clean the top of the hill off. So.
looks really good.
Yeah.
So, value-added ag. I was asked to go and present to the legislators. Held a rural summit in Lindsborg last week, and I was asked by Representative Johnson, who many of you have met before from us area. He asked me to come and be his value-added agriculture expert for presenting to the legislature. So it went really well. We had good questions. It was a very good mix of legislators. That was actually a breakout session, so about half of them stayed in the ag discussion, and about half of them went to a community development discussion. But it went very well. Again, a good mix of legislators. Lots of urban legislators actually stayed in my session, which was really interesting because they just don't have the same understanding, obviously. Part of my presentation, I showed them the breakout of Finney County and the incorporated cities, highlighted basically in their little blobs that they are. And I said, here's the rest of my county, and that's majority of that is ag. So you can see why we care about agriculture, but when you see it in that visual, it really does tell the story that we have a lot of acres out here, so we've got to maximize that. Transload, we're continuing to work with them on expansion opportunities, and we have had 2 prospects that we've submitted sites to within the transload facility, and they continue those discussions. And we have been meeting with Wheatland Electric and Wheatland's Rural Water District as well on looking at some additional development sites that we can put out into the county. We've had 2 meetings and left with more homework after the second meeting, and everybody's getting their information put together, and then we'll be able to reconvene on that. But we're excited to keep moving forward on that. Excuse me. Meetings, obviously, again, it's been a very busy month. We haven't slowed down really at all. We have had the opportunity to work with a couple of large employers on childcare and what it would mean to their company if they were able to actually secure adequate and good childcare. And so those have been really good discussions. We've been really pleased with where those discussions are going, but probably more importantly with the buy-in from those employers and their understanding that it really does make a difference to their employees, and it makes sense to continue looking at that. This month, again, things aren't appearing that they're going to slow down much, so we've got several things already on the calendar. I was asked to present, they're doing a child care duologue in Phillipsburg on August 20th, and Marcy Penner with Kansas Sampler Foundation is actually putting that on, and she asked me to come and be, again, one of the child care and early learning experts. So hopefully we'll get some good information shared with communities across the state. That legislative summit that we had last week, in the community breakout session, they identified that child care really is the largest barrier in the majority of our rural communities. They self-identify that, so it's very interesting. And again, I'm thankful that we've put the work and efforts into it that we have in our community, because I think that's going to be beneficial across the state.
So is Birmingham in town today and tomorrow, or today or tomorrow?
Both.
Both today and tomorrow? Good.
Yes. Yeah. Workforce, as Vicki alluded to, we have been working with the community college on some construction trades, and the Garden City High School and Holcomb High School have both expressed an interest in adding additional construction trade programming when and where they can. And as Nicole said, we follow up with them again this week, and should have good information to pass on to the community college at that point. So we're very excited to be working with them. And then on childcare, we've been working on really putting that toolkit together so that the model that works really is replicable throughout communities across Kansas. So we'll continue to do that. And that is all I have for you, unless you have questions.
Any questions?
It's very well covered.
Yeah, it's been a busy month of July, and it looks like August is gonna continue right on, so. All right, Nicole, would you like to talk to us on workforce or whatever?
Good morning.
Good morning.
As I mentioned last month, the state of Kansas and Kansas Board of Regents are kind of doing a revamp on the Perkins funding, which is where all of our technical programs at the college get funding from. They are meeting today in Manhattan to get their marching orders as to where we're supposed to go with those discussions. So hopefully we'll have some good information coming out of Manhattan today. And we're also working at the high school level, working on adding some additional events for the high school kids. With the education task force that we've been meeting with, we've kind of had a revamp of building bridges, which is good. It needed a revamp, but it's also kind of sparked some conversations in our committee about some other things that we can offer for the kids during the school year. So hopefully they'll get some creative ideas and get the kids engaged and keep them engaged throughout the year. So as we get further down that path, I will be sure to share with what we're going to do there. And also a big thing at the high school is we've been working with Dr. Carlin and Jenny Hands to kind of redesign. He gave her kind of a marching order of redesign one of these pathways of how you want to see it work. In a perfect world, how would this work? So we kind of chose manufacturing because obviously we have a huge need for that in our community. So she's kind of been putting together her idea of how things would go. And He didn't really put any restrictions on her. If that means early graduation, it means early graduation. If it means work experience credit, then that's what she's going to do. So it'll be interesting to see how that comes about for the high school kids. As Lana mentioned, we do continue to work with the Builders Association. That's kind of been, it started out as a community college initiative, but it's delved over into the high school with them hopefully getting to offer a construction pathway as well. We've met with them a few times, and they've done really good with their homework and evaluating classes and what they think that students need coming out. And so what we did last week is I took down their information and kind of gave them a mock pathway in a degree program of what we could put together or what in hopes we could put together. So they're going to look at that tomorrow and see if that's going to work or where we're going with that. As we kind of knew was going to happen, but it's interesting as we go through a lot of the classes, there's so much overlap in our industry with the construction side, with industrial maintenance and manufacturing. I think that it's going to be a great thing for the high school and the college. I think that they're going to be able to offer, just by offering one sector, it's going to open up so many other degree tracks for them. And then we continue to work on the dental assistant program. I'm hoping by the end of this week to have those results tallied. We have the majority of the surveys back. It showed a substantial need for dental assistants, as we thought it would. But I'll compile that data and get it to the college, and then we'll move forward with that. That's kind of been my deal, is I've been helping with a lot of needs assessment. So after we get through with this builder stuff, then I'll probably do a needs assessment for the builders as well. So just keep moving forward with that stuff.
Now, a dental assistant is totally different than a hygienist.
Yes. Dental assistant is the one basically that you meet right when you come through the door, that you check in with. They book your appointment and take care of insurance stuff, and they can assist in the exam room if they need to, but it's about a 9-month training program that they go through. And just touch briefly on that, but we met with the Education Task Force last Friday, and I think had a good meeting, and we've decided that moving forward on the combined advisory councils, so it will be manufacturing, health, and then education. So those will be the 3 combined councils with the college, Garden City High School, and Holcomb High School. Our goal is to try and meet 3 times a year and go forward with that, and hopefully kind of set a good framework for the rest of the advisory councils that they can work off of. So we'll see how that goes. We're shooting for late September, early October for the first one. So that's all I have.
Sorry, I missed your meeting on Friday. I don't add a whole lot to it, but I get a whole lot out of it.
Well, I think, just touching on it briefly, the advisor thing, I think is one of the co-op ventures between the community college, Garden City, and Holcomb, that, you know, each one had their own advisor group, and they had all of these people signed up, but I don't think either side really knew what they wanted or expected out of the others. And so the goal is to, number one, follow the Perkins rules, which says you have to have an advisory committee, but more importantly, outline what it is that we want from advisors, and then what we as educators and advisors, what they need to do in terms of talking with one another. And basically the goal is to have one advisory committee that serves all 3 entities. So you're not competing with the same person trying to go to 3 different places. So maybe we can get people who are willing to be involved and have something to share with not only students, but educators and vice versa, that it can really become helpful. So the goal is to get this job description created, and then in working with the chamber, reach out to their memberships and say, okay, let's get real, you know, let's make this thing work. If you keep saying, my students aren't good enough, you know, or my employees aren't good enough, let's make them better. And let's make sure we know and understand what the real needs are. So I think it can work, and this level of cooperation between the 3 educational entities is just phenomenal. And it's not of, well, you know, this is ours and this is ours, and, you know, it's all, you know, hey, if we need to bus our kids into the community college to take this course, we'll bring them. Or, you know, you can bring your kids out to Holcomb and we've got this really good deal. And it's just back and forth.
Yeah.
It's really solid.
Well,
Big
and
change.
I think you had left by then, but when we got done with the meeting, everyone was kind of going around and summing up. And Mark Malone, who is one of the new vice presidents of the college, and he made that comment. He's, I've worked lots of other places, and this does not happen. I have never been anywhere where this happens. So he was very impressed with it as well.
That's
Yeah, I think
positive.
this is
They protect their own.
Yep.
normally, it's a turf situation, and this is mine, and you guys stay over there, but I think this is really a great deal, and the meetings that I sat in on, to hear the superintendent of schools at Holcomb and the superintendent of 457 and the college president all talk about these issues and agree that, hey, we can all do this. We can do this together. And I think, like Bob said, the one big thing is having one advisory group that covers all three institutions is really, really big, because, people have all kinds of meetings everywhere, and you get meetinged out if you're not careful. Then to have one that does all of these is really good. So there's some good things really happening there.
Yep, and we're really fortunate for Bob's leadership on that, and
Very much so.
staying in the loop and kind of forcing everybody to stay.
No, inviting.
I'm sorry, inviting everybody to stay on task.
And this is kind of
really
a
do
first,
appreciate
because
that.
he is, if you will, our voice to the governor. Because this is a task force that the governor put together, and Bob and Steve Carlin from Garden City, Finney County represent us, and it's a really big deal. So
Sounds like they're doing a good job.
They are doing a good job.
Great job.
anything else?
Our local group is doing a lot better job than the state is.
No surprise.
I can believe that.
God, sorry.
Okay, do you have anything else, Nicole? That's it.
Yep.
All right, well, I guess Scott's anxious and chomping at the bit, so
Ready to go.
let's do it.
Good morning. This past month, we had just shy of about 10,000 visits to the website, largely due to the impact of the story about Poncho's opening at Garden City Plaza. That post accounted for almost half of the visits to the website for that story, about 4,700 clicks on our website and that story. If you look down at our Facebook pages, the journal's average post reach is over 13,000 and about 10,000 engagements. And Greater Garden City is about 1,900 and 1,155. Twitter impressions were about normal, 4,800. Our top Facebook posts and stories, speaking of coffee that you mentioned earlier, a photo on the journal noting the progress of the Scooters Coffee Shop reached about 10,000 people and was clicked on 1,800 times and had 585 likes, comments, and shares.
Well, you'll have to go up and post another photo of
Yeah.
scooters in action now.
Yeah. Our other top Facebook posts and stories included stories about Garden City Community College band director Casey Hand's recognition as an outstanding young band director in the state. Poncho's being open, of course. A story about renaming the Central Fire Station after Chief Shelton. And another story about Garden City Police Department's Youth Explorers and Brecken Ralston participating in the FBI Youth Academy. All very strong stories.
Very good.
Very good, very good.
Any questions?
Questions? All right, I guess you covered it.
Pretty
All right.
quiet group today.
Thank you, Scott. Shannon, what is the activity?
Well, I was planning to go over the update to the Grun market study, but we're going to put that on hold when it sounded like we needed to have a quorum by phone. So I'll do that next time. I will just go over a couple things. Went and did the chat presentation to the Board of Realtors out at Southwind this time. That was, again, same thing that I did here, talking about the housing need. That was received really well. And people are always amazed that if we need to keep up with current demand for housing, we need one new unit every 3 days. Just a reminder, I don't think we've done that over the last month, so
We're behind.
so everybody needs to go build a unit sometime between next time, just to keep up with that. We worked with Makerspace. It looks like we are moving forward with the community college working in their wood shop, helping out doing the classes like that. There's an MOU out to do that. And it looks like on Third Street also, there might be some forward movement in that direction as well. So that's going well. This last couple weeks, I've been doing a presentation and working with Wichita County with their childcare as a contract service. Again, that's a really good process to go through with them about what does it take to make a childcare that is successful. You can get into a building that is initially free, but in the end it dooms you because of the physical layout of that building, going through the steps of what it looks like to optimally staff it and stuff like that. So that was really good. And then the other thing I wanted to mention was I was at the Health Coalition yesterday, the large meeting that they have monthly, and they were talking about today is their opioid summit. I don't know if I heard on the radio, but that opioid summit is held at the high school this year, and they said that they're having over 200 participants and have 7 different breakout sessions. But the thing I want to mention, I mean, so that's a big deal. I mean, that's a big conference that they're having. This is the second year. I mean, it went from holding it in one room at the hospital to out at the high school, the whole cafeteria this year at the high school. But the thing I wanted to mention was just, like we're saying with the partnerships, how much the school district partners with the community, because today what they're doing the district-wide band camp in the building, at the same time that they're doing robotics camp in the building, at the same time that they're also hosting a community play, and the opioid summit, all going on today. So in just one day, I mean, there's 4 rather large things going on. So it's good to see that how well the school district is partnering with the community. And
school isn't even in session
and
yet.
the school's not even in session. It's probably just as busy, if not more busy, than when they actually have kids going there. So that was really neat to see.
That might be a good topic to put on your post, how the high school or the school district is participating in the community and events that they're having out there.
Shannon brings that up. I can't remember who I had the conversation with, but I was dropping my daughter off for some camp. One of the camps, lots of camps.
Kind of band camp, yeah.
It was 5:30 in the morning, so it was an early camp. But they were making the comment of that place, it goes 24 hours a day.
Like a beehive.
It is,
Yeah.
that there is someone in that building all hours of the day. And I can attest to that with running kids around the summer to events. I mean, that place is so busy. There's something happening all the time. So it really is, it's amazing. I think a lot of people, if you don't have kids that are actively involved in the high school, you might kind of overlook that, but it really is amazing how much it is in use all year round.
And the staff that puts things together and cleans it up and gets it all nice and neat.
When there was the robotics competition, at the same time that they were getting ready they cleaned everybody out for lunch at robotics competition, and they just kind of put up a little sign that said, please keep this area because we have the Valentine's Day concert going on, so we're getting that all cleaned up and getting the stage set up. I mean, they are using that building to good use for the community. So that's worth noting and worth letting the school district people know that we appreciate them using that building to its fullest. So that's it. Next month I'll go and go over the update to the market study, which some really good numbers for us, retail wise and growth wise. So thanks, Shannon.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thanks, Shannon. Okay, new business. I have none. Lana's shaking her head. Apparently she has none. Well, that'll move that on. And old business is basically the same. She has none, I have none. We do not have need for an executive session today. So with that, if we wait for one more click of the clock, we'll make this last till 8 o'clock, but
I will not be in attendance the next meeting, August 28th.
okay.
If Phil's not gonna be here, I'm not either. I'm out of town.
You're gone as well?
And I'll be late. Well, I'll be here on time and we'll see if the left wing shows up next time.
That's all I'm gonna say, it's their turn to go.
All right. With that, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn. We almost got to 8 o'clock.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
All right, motion and a second.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. For the discussion, hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign, none.
We need
We
to
are adjourned.
always keep you motivated to get back home.
Yeah, boys. You know,
It's
drag this
amazing
out.
what we can do.